Prepare yourself for Earthling Entertainment, the perfect blend of paranormal and pop culture, with your host, Joe Wakefield and Ryan Lang.
Hello and welcome to another episode, the first of 2025, of Earthling Entertainment with your host, Joe Wakefield and Ryan Lang. Hey, I'm Joe Wakefield, and I'm joined today with a special guest host, actor-comedian Andy Cash.
Hey, Joe, what's up, man? Thanks for having me, buddy.
No worries. So, for those of you joining us for the first time, what is Earthling Entertainment? What do we do? Well, I'll tell you what we do. What we do is a little bit of the spooky, a little bit of the creepy. Sometimes it's cryptozoology, other times it's a haunting, a legend, a myth, but it's always spooky. That, of course, is followed by a segment we lovingly call Disclosure Discussion. That one's all about aliens. Any questions that we have with new flying saucers or anything the government has revealed, it's all aliens all the time. Then, the second half of the show, the latter half, if you will, is all dedicated to pop culture and entertainment. Sometimes we have celebrity guests, or we do trivia games, or we have news, but it's all entertainment all the time in those two sections. The beginning and the second part, which is the pop culture, come to make the Oreo delicious wonderfulness of a podcast we like to call Earthling Entertainment. Welcome.
Hey, Joe, doing good over here, man. Just excited to be on today and excited to start help you host, sorry.
That's right. Well, don't worry. You are doing smooth so far. No one can tell at all that you are slightly nervous. It's fine. But yeah, this is our first episode of 2025. Ryan had a personal matter he had to take care of, and thankfully, Andy was able to join us. And so a little bit of changes in 2025. Starting next week, we will be releasing the episodes on Wednesday morning. Now, normally it's been Tuesday afternoon between 4 and 5 Eastern Standard Time. We decided to just basically release it in the morning. So we have an even slate and it comes out the same time. It'll be 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for everyone. So that's going to be a nice change. I think a little bit of consistency on the time, because I had people hitting me up around 4 o'clock and they're like, is it up yet? Like, no. I mean, it's up, but it's not like up yet. And yeah, it just seemed like a good time to streamline.
I like it, man. I always look forward to checking out the podcast every week. And yeah, I think with Wednesdays being the morning, like you were saying, you don't have to like do it all on Tuesday. Like you can have it set up and then ready to go.
Take
for
a little bit of
Wednesday.
a breather when it comes to editing.
Yes, exactly.
So I've been sitting there playing this game. It's called, what is it called? Planet Coaster. And it's just a theme park simulator, but that's what I've been spending most of my time with, because my kid has entered this lovely phase. I don't know if it counts as terrible twos because he's not quite 2 yet, but he's running around just pulling things off shelves and causing messes. And this game is, it's kind of like The Sims or any of those, SimCity. So you just kind of make little decisions, and it's you can actually play it. I've been trying to do some other kind of video games. I have Dragon Age and I have all these new things I want to play. Nope, not going to be able to. You get into a battle and then you need to save your baby.
Right. Is that roller coaster game? Is that anything like Roller Coaster Tycoon at all?
It is a bit. It's so in this game it's more of just, you can make a roller coaster and you can, alter the track and do all the things to adjust the speed and everything you could in Roller Coaster Tycoon, but this is more about like the overall theme park, because you have employees and you figure out where they need to work and how much they get paid and how much you're selling sodas for and how much a ride costs. Do you charge at the gate or do you charge per line? It's a lot of fun. It's the same people who did the Jurassic Park one. There was a Jurassic World Evolution.
Okay.
And it was like a zoo tycoon kind of thing, except dinosaurs.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, a lot of fun stuff. But speaking of fun stuff, I know you have another showing of Night of the Living Bird coming up, don't you?
Yes, I do. So it's going to be at Wealthy Street Theater on January 12th, which is actually this Sunday coming up. It's $15, and we're going to have the band who did the theme song. They're going to be playing the songs live, so I'm very stoked about that.
Oh, man. So a movie and a show.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's going to be... I'm excited, man. It's going to be really fun.
Right on. So Grand Rapids, Michigan, where was the place again?
It's Wealthy Street Theater.
All right. How much at the door?
15.
Excellent. So you guys, if you are local to Grand Rapids, Michigan, or want to make a really long drive, check out Night of Living Bird for the final time in theaters before it's available everywhere.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, I think that's good. With no further ado, do you want to jump into some spooky stuff?
That sounds good to me, Joe.
All right, so here is this week's spooky stuff.
The Slide Rock Bolter. Hikers in Rocky Mountain National Park, beware. The Slide Rock Bolter may be lying in wait on a mountainside, eagerly anticipating an unfortunate soul who might wander by on the path below. This creature looks like a fish out of water, or rather, a whale out of water. But don't let the appearances deceive you. The Slide Rock Bolter is incredibly agile. It hides on the sides of mountains, and as soon as hikers or tourists walk by in the valleys below, the creature releases its grips on the mountainside and comes sliding down the mountain, mouth open wide, devouring everything in its path.
Now, hold on. So the idea of this giant whale just clinging to a side of a mountain, that is hilarious. Why do you think a whale? Because if it's just, to me, that would be like maybe a giant worm because it's on land. Like maybe it looks like a fish, but are we talking flippers? I don't know, man. I call shenanigans. What is...
Yeah, because whales need to come up right out of water and like
They
have
breathe.
their
They're,
breathe,
they're
right?
mammals. So, it's not that a whale couldn't be out of the water. It's that,
Right.
Is there a mountain whale? Well, according to Colorado, there is.
Yes. Yeah, apparently, man. It sounds like the kills are really cool. It slides down with its mouth open and just like eats everything in its path.
Well, it does make sense because that's kind of what whales do, right? Because if you're thinking about the ocean, whales are just swimming. They go up to a school of fish. They essentially just open their mouth and they get sucked in.
Yes, exactly. So, and same with like Pinocchio. um, the Slide Rock Bolter, Macrostoma sexperumtus.
Yeah, well, hold on.
Yep. I did my best. Is a bizarre creature and fearsome critter recounted by the lumberjacks of North America during the 19th and 20th centuries. It is believed to live in the mountains of Colorado, but only on the mountains where the slope is at an angle greater than 45 degrees.
It seems strangely specific, but okay.
I know. He's just got a measuring tape like, yeah, that looks about 45-degree angles.
Yeah, we could go on a hike, but, I have this special route to make sure we're not near any cliffs that are too steep because, giant rockfish.
Yeah, he definitely wouldn't want like a 90-degree angle because he would probably just like straight down.
Yeah, that would just be getting hit by a whale. It's death, but it's a different kind of death.
Yeah, just slam into you.
It's a coyote, just...
I know. There it is. Bye. It has an immense head, small eyes, and a large mouth, which is similar to a sculpin. Its tail ends in a fluke like a dolphin with enormous grab hooks.
Okay, well, I guess it does have, like, flippers then. Like I was asking earlier, it seems it has hooked flippers, but all right.
Yeah, because it looks like on the picture you have here, it's like kind of hooked to the mountain.
Yeah, to the mountain peak. But
Yep.
this is, this has to be a crude exaggeration because this picture shows the whale being the entire size of the mountain.
Yeah.
And, according to this, it feeds by sliding down it. So I'm thinking we might not be that big.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can see like a couple guys running too. So, but yeah, he was planted himself up there. He's probably looking at some tourists down the hill there.
Nom,
Down
nom,
the
nom, nom,
mountain.
nom, nom, tourist.
The Slide Rock Bolter is said to have caused great uneasiness amongst tourists visiting the mountains of Colorado. This fearsome animal uses the grab hooks on its divided tail to latch onto the crest of the mountain or ridge. It will often remain motionless for days at a time, watching the gulch before the tourists or any other helpless creatures.
Okay. I wonder if they're kind of camouflaged, right? Are they blending into the mountainside? If something's big enough, you might not notice it, as silly as that sounds, right? It might
Right.
just seem like a giant rock face or something.
Yeah, like it like camouflages itself or whatever, where it like, yeah, like you were saying, like could look like a rock, and then when you go up to it, you're like, oh, that's not a rock.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, octopuses do it. So do elven cloaks when you're hiding from orcs. It's, why
Okay,
not? Yeah.
yeah, that's true. Once it spots its prey, it will lift its tail and release. Uh, I'm gonna start that one over.
Yeah, go ahead.
Once it spots its prey, it will lift its tail to release its hold on the crest. As gravity sends it barreling downhill, it drools grease from the corner of its mouth to increase the speed of its huge body. The bolter scoops its victims into his mouth as it slides down.
That's gross. So it makes a spit trail.
Yeah. The accumulated speed will carry the bolter up to the next slope, where it'll once again grasp the ridge with its tail and weight.
Okay, so you're imagining it kind of like a weird U, right? It slides down one, eats a bunch of people, slides up the other side, waits.
Yeah.
Slides down what? Yeah, that's kind of like. It seems like you could avoid that valley. Yeah, I don't know. I guess if you're not aware that there's a giant landslide whale.
Right. The my first thought was in Christmas Vacation, when he like puts the Pam on the bottom of the sled and then goes down, and then it like goes super fast. I just imagine like this thing, it has like the grease coming out and it's just go like zooming down, get the momentum to get up to that other slope.
I mean, in order for the spit to escape from the mouth, it's got to have like a small little gape in its mouth, right? It's got to. So what's scarier is you hear this giant like rock or something coming down, barreling towards you. You assume it would be a landslide or something like that, an avalanche, and you look up, and of course it would be scary to see any kind of creature.
Right.
But the idea of something with its mouth slightly open with massive amounts of drool falling out of either side just sounds scarier.
Yeah, that sounds. It's just like, not only is this thing barreling at you, but there's just saliva and this grease just spitting out of his mouth as you like look into its wide open mouth and teeth, and it's like, oh, there's my demise.
Yeah, it really gives you time to contemplate wow, am I going to suffocate in this thing's esophagus, get crushed, or just be alive long enough to feel the stomach acid burn my flesh? Just a little bit of thought for this new year for us.
So, whole parties of tourists are reported to have been gulped down at once. The animal is a menace not only to tourists, but to the forests as well.
It's also just kind of a dick.
Many spruce-covered slopes have been rendered wastelands as the bolter knocks the trees out by their roots or mows them down as if it was a scythe. The tale of the rock slide bolter comes to us from William Thomas Cox, the state forester of Minnesota, who in 1910 published Fearsome Critters of the Lumber Woods with a few desert and mountain beasts.
Okay, wait. The whole title was what?
So in 1910 published Fearsome Critters of the Lumber Woods.
I see that part I like. Fearsome Critters of the Lumber Woods. But then there's like this extra part that feels like they should have told them not to have that in there either.
Yeah, because it's just like, with a few desert and mountain beasts,
I am not listening to my editor. This is the entire title. It just rolls off the tongue, Andy.
Oh, what a wonderful title. So, in this collection of lumberjack tales from all over the United States, Cox detailed in various creatures that workers in the logging industry imagined late at night in their shanties.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, people like to put creatures and myths to just things that happen in nature, right?
Yeah.
Like that's why we have beasts that brought the storms. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like giant sea creature that'll make the hurricane because the person who suffered from the hurricane, wanted some explanation. So
Right.
it makes sense that if you're in the mountains, that landslides or other things like that, maybe you're trying to, I don't know, anthropomorphize the mountain in a way.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and you got to imagine, like, I don't know, it sounds like these lumberjacks out in the middle of nowhere. It's like, you're working in these trees all day, something happens, they're like, oh, it's got to be a monster. It's got to be a creature.
Exactly. And at the same time, maybe they're just like bored and shooting the shit. I mean, campfire
Yeah.
tales, right? Like,
Right.
What was that? We got to go snipe hunting, and then a snipe doesn't exist. I know in Australia they're like, watch out for the drop bears, and drop bears don't exist. Like
Yeah.
little bears that fall out of the trees and they're, like they drop on you.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. Drop bears.
I like drop
Drop
bears.
bears. So
Back to mountain fish.
the Slide Rock Bolter story is set in southwestern Colorado. Cox works. I'm going to restart that. Cox worked with forester Corey Dubois,
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty good.
who drew the illustrations, and botanist George Bishop Sudworth, whose Latin taxonomical names for the creatures added the work's tongue-in-cheek imitation of a field guide.
Yeah, I wanted to make this just the easiest time for your first time co-hosting. I was like, all right, let's just make sure there's a lot of Latin in this for
Yeah.
him.
I did take like 6 weeks of Latin. Definitely wasn't my bag.
Oh, really? I couldn't tell. I thought you were a fucking scholar.
Yeah, exactly. Of the rockslide bolter, Cox writes, in the mountains of Colorado, where in the summer of the woods are becoming infested with tourists, much uneasiness has been caused by the presence of the rockslide bolter. This frightful animal lives only in the steepest mountain countries where the slopes are greater than 45 degrees.
Once again, very specific.
It has an immense head with small eyes and a mouth somewhat in the order of a sculpin, running back beyond its ears. The tail consists of a divided flipper with enormous grab hooks, which it fastens over the crest of the mountain or ridge, often remaining there motionless for days at a time, watching the gulch for tourists or any other hapless creature that may enter it. At the right moment, after sighting a tourist, it will lift its tail, thus loosening its hold on the mountain, and with small eyes riveted on the poor unfortunate, and drooling thin skid grease from the corners of its mouth, which greatly accelerates its speed, the bolter comes down like a toboggan, scooping in its victims as it goes. Its own impetus carries it up to the next slope, where it again slaps its tail over the ridge and waits.
So I just imagine going like, wee, num 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 num, whoa, hook, wee, num 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 num, whoa, hook, and that just repeats,
Yep,
just
yep,
over and over again.
yep, and just keeps latching onto the ridge or crest.
Yeah. The question is, what happens if he misses or doesn't catch it? Right? Is that how they die? It's like finding a turtle in the desert where it's like got on its back and got picked by crows because it never escaped. Like there's just
Yeah.
occasionally you're walking through the mountains and there's just this giant dead fish. Like what happened? Missed the slope.
Yeah, he missed the slope. There's just not enough tourists this year.
Ah. Or it's like that was Carl. He was a clumsy bolter. No one expected him to. I mean, he went to a slope and it was 40-degree angle, and we all told him it was not precise enough. But fucking guy.
It's a 40-degree angle, Carl. Are you kidding me?
Are you an idiot?
It's got to be 45.
Well, now he's dead. Although a sushi restaurant, fun addendum, a sushi restaurant was built out of his carcass, and there is a nice family that still lives there today, still serving this little bolter, to everybody
I mean, that's a lot of food. This thing looks huge, so you could definitely make some good sushi out of that.
for years. My question is where they're getting the rice, but whatever.
Yeah. So, whole parties of tourists are reported to have been gulped at one scoop by taking parties far back into the hills.
Yes, not half parties though, only whole.
Only whole. The animal is a menace not only to tourists, but to the woods as well. Many draw a thorough spruce covered slopes has been laid low. The trees been knocked out by the roots or mowed off by a scythe where the bolter has crashed down through from the peaks above.
Yeah, so it's that makes sense. It can't fall down and not tear up trees and plants. So there's just kind of a groove, which is why I think maybe this is either the answer to landslides or their answer to landslides, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, because you got to think when he's coming down that slope. I mean, he's gulping. He's not only gulping trees, but like you would think the force of him would kind of like mow over stuff. but then just his weight and his mouth open himself, he's gonna be eating trees and
Yeah, it'd be a nice little trench he'd be making.
yeah.
You know, but because he's eating trees and plant matter and shit that he shouldn't be eating, it kind of makes you think like, what if is this thing like an owl, where an owl will
Mhm.
eat a whole mouse and then it coughs up a pellet, which is like the bones and the things that it couldn't digest. So wouldn't it be weird if this giant bolter slides down, eats people? I mean, how many people are in a party? Like, let's say, even if it's a big party, let's say it's 10 people.
Mhm.
10 people at the bottom of this ridge, when you've eaten probably 30 trees,
Yeah.
maybe there's giant like cough up like wood barf. Like,
Right.
I don't know. I
Like-
maybe thought too much into that one, man.
A forest ranger whose district included the rough country between Ophir Peaks and the Lizard Head conceived the bold idea of deceiving a slide rock bolter to slide to its own destruction.
I'm gonna trick you. Oh, basically, it was like the end of the first Tremors movie.
Yeah, where it
Yeah.
remind me again.
Okay, so the first Tremors movie, which if you don't know is subterranean worms that kill people. Well,
Yep.
Kevin Bacon's character is at the edge of a cliff and he's making noise to try to draw the creature, and then at the last minute jumps out of the way, and the creature, which is moving through the ground, is unable to stop and goes out through the cliff and off the cliff and falls and dies and
Yes.
explodes in a lot of orange goo that never quite made sense.
Okay, yeah, I do remember that part when he you see him come out of the cliff and then you see him smash, right?
Oh yeah, you see him smash, and it's like not. I mean, it was special effects back then, but it felt like a water balloon of orange goo, and
Yeah.
I don't remember there being really organs. I just remember it being like, oh, it's just a bag of orange liquid.
Yeah.
Probably, I assume to keep a PG-13 rating, because I think if
Yeah.
it's like a giant bag of blood, you're not going to get that rating.
Yeah, I know what you mean. A dummy tourist was outfitted with a plaid Norfolk jacket,
Just like Kevin Bacon.
knee breeches, and a guidebook to Colorado. The dummy was filled with powder and fulminate caps and posed in a conspicuous place.
Conspicuous.
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 Conspicuous place.
It's very conspicuous.
The next day, the false tourists attracted the attention of the bolter
Hey,
that has been hanging for
Hey,
days
fish! Fuck you!
on the slope of the Lizard Head, and that's they were they were yelling at him
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
The creature attacked.
Holy shit! Did Tremors just rip off this book?
Might have. I
At
mean,
least on some level, we got to contact these people.
the resulting explosion flattened half of the buildings in Rico, which were never rebuilt. The remains of the unfortunate bolter made many a meal for the local buzzards that summer.
And the fucking sushi people. I told you this.
Exactly. The buzzards, the sushi people, they got it made after that bolter went down.
Yeah, yeah. And by the way, I say sushi people because I want to be clear that these are not necessarily people of Japanese descent. Maybe it's a French Canadian who spent his life working at being the best sushi chef. And god damn it, Andy, I won't let you take this dream away from him.
You can have it.
All right.
Yeah. In 2015, horror-inspired remake of Fearsome Creatures, the slide rock bolter is depicted as an enormous landfish weighing 25,000 pounds with fins,
That's a huge fish.
a hooked caudal fin, and 3 tenacious.
Are you
Any
asking
idea?
me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
I don't know where you are in the notes. Hold on. Let's see this. We can figure this out. You got to point at mine.
Oh.
Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. I don't fucking know. Move on.
Okay. We're going to say tenacious, razor sharp toothed gizzards.
I want to say tenacious because that's a word I know.
It is vulnerable to leprosy. Just saying.
Hold on. Is there anything that's not vulnerable to leprosy?
I don't know.
I mean, are they just saying like, just like men over 55, this guy has a better chance of heart disease? But that's still a weird way to. All right, so The bolters apparently can catch leprosy very easily. I
Yep.
think is the point they're trying to make.
Yeah, apparently.
Because I don't know, I'm fucking vulnerable to leprosy. Let me tell you.
So, in the remake, the Slide Rock Bolter is an apex predator,
Yeah.
and despite its destructive habits, its behavior is also used to scare away the other predators haunting Colorado.
They might be hunting while haunting, but yeah.
Yeah, hunting, such as wolves, spider wolves, overwolves, Frenchmen, and a renegade hodag.
Okay, hold on.
Hodag.
One of these things is not like the other. They named like 4 wolves and they're like, and the French.
The Frenchmen.
Jeez. I've never heard a comparison to wolves, but I mean, that's at least flattering, right? Like, that. How could you be mad if like someone's like, your people are like wolves? I guess if you say
Yeah.
dogs, that sounds really insulting, right? But
Mhm.
wolves doesn't sound, maybe it's me, my sensibilities growing up in, the United States. But if someone's like, you fucking wolf, that doesn't
Yeah.
hurt my feelings.
No, I agree. But if you're like, I'm gonna kill your dog, you're like, oh, okay, no, that's different.
What?
Yeah.
That is not what. All right, continue.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
Yes, if anyone says they're going to kill my dog, you are
it's like,
right.
or if they're like, we gotta go get the wolves, you're like, yeah, you do gotta go get the wolves.
All right.
Anyways, first time hosting. Okay.
Let's go.
Okay, so here I'm gonna probably slaughter this, but the scientific name is Leviathanetta mucopurulentius.
All right. The first part of that Leviathan, as we learned, was a giant sea creature from the Bible. So it makes sense that, a whale starts with that. Cool, long, scary word.
Yeah. The slide rock bolter is considered to be a fearsome critter, a type of folkloric animal that was invented by lumberjacks to amuse them and scare newcomers.
That's exactly what I said, right? They're
Yeah.
fucking with people on the. All right.
There is no scientific evidence for its existence, and most people regard it as a tall tale. However, some cryptozoologists have speculated that it could be based on a real animal, such as a prehistoric whale or unknown species of land dwelling fish.
I mean, that sounds funny, but that actually makes a lot of sense because there are plenty of animals, big and small, that have existed, like the giant sloth, for instance. Just because we haven't discovered the bones for every one of them, I don't know. It makes you think of things like the Native Americans talking about the thunderbird flying over. Who's to say there wasn't a prehistoric pterodactyl or some other thing that lived, small amount of them, and they died off in the last 500 years, so it became legend, or even last 2,000 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, people would still talk about that, like, holy shit, there was a cyclops. It was really, really weird. Now, maybe that was just a guy who was 7 foot tall and happened to be missing an eye, but legends happen.
Legend has it. Like most creatures that lumberjacks told stories about, the slide rock bolter was probably conjured up late one night as a part of a storytelling contest, when seasoned campers competed to convince newcomers that fearsome critters lurked in the woods.
Yeah, critters.
Far away from the ocean.
I don't know if I'd call like a 20,000-pound whale that's like flying down the side of a mountain a little critter.
Yeah, I don't think I'd call it that.
Damn
either.
little critters.
Freaking 25,000 pounds just torpedoing after you. It's like
Critters bigger than Shitty Hole.
Far away from the ocean, where any real crustacean would swim, the form of a whale was likely chosen because of its giant size and distinctive tail, which suits the particular behavior of this particular cryptid. As one might suspect, debate about the legitimacy of a slide bolter is quite one-sided, with most blaming the legend on the destructive nature of landslides and avalanches being mythified.
I prefer the giant fish version, though, because let's say that you have a sibling who really likes hiking, and that sibling unfortunately dies in a terrible landslide accident. What sounds cooler when you are giving the speech at the funeral? Man, Jim, he loved to hike, but there were some loose rocks, He should have known there was a lot of rain that season. Or, yeah, Jim, yeah, he loved to hike. But you know what he didn't suspect? Whales flying down. They only found half of his body. We got the legs, and we know it's him because of DNA, but that thing took his head clean off. And I assume the rest of the body because it wasn't there either, but the head sounds better.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, at my funeral, when I die, I want a funnier story, right?
Mhm.
That's why if I make it to like 90, I figure like fuck it, right? Just do something really, really strange. There was this idea that you could jump out of a plane butt naked with wings grafted to your back, because at least one tabloid would be like, make an angel pun. I don't know. But no one's going to forget that death. From
Right.
50 years later, they're going to be like, what, that 90-year-old guy who was so rich he jumped out of the plane? Fucking yeah, I remember him. Anyways,
Yeah.
it was probably landslides.
Or
To stay on
rock
topic.
slide. After all, aside from the tales passed down from yesteryear, there's not much evidence that a slide bolter exists, or that it ever has. It certainly defies logic. Considering that most of the reports came during at a time in which new residents were first discovering the treacherous natures of the Rocky Mountains, it's probably safe to chalk this one up as an attempt to explain a natural phenomenon that was simply not yet understood. Or is it?
I can't figure out gravity. I don't. All right. So, I think that was a perfect spooky stuff to start the year off with,
Mhm.
because it was a little different.
Yeah.
The problem is some of the cryptids, which I love all of them, but some of them can be similar. If you're talking about Chappie, or you're talking about Ogopogo, or you're talking about Nessie, well, they're very similar. If you're talking about Bigfoot and you're talking about a skunk ape, or you're talking about a Yeti, well, they're very similar. But a giant whale hooking up on a mountain just to slide down to eat people, I mean, I wish it was a little less Paul Bunyan and a little bit more cryptozoology, but I'm
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, it is. It was definitely like a very interesting story. I've definitely never heard of this creature before. I explained before we started recording earlier that I did go to the Rocky Mountains for my first time.
Yeah.
I didn't see any giant whale slide rockers,
Well,
but
did you visit the French Canadian sushi shop?
unfortunately we didn't make it there. But
Ugh.
I did get to see some elk up close. That was actually pretty intense.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
They're always a lot bigger than you think they're good. Like animals in general. I remember the first time I saw a moose, it was just like, holy crap, you're huge.
Yeah, and I was hoping to see a moose, but just seeing like the main elk was like incredible. And
The
being
alpha
so,
buck or whatever.
yeah, exactly. And just seeing that up close, it was absolutely incredible. Like I had never been that close to that big of a wild animal.
Yeah, I think the first time I was at Yellowstone, and it was a buffalo. And it was just, I mean, at the time I was a teenager, so I wasn't too young, but 15, 16-year-old me, that blew my mind. So I could imagine.
Yeah, man, it's pretty cool. Like, there's one thing if you're going to the zoo, but when you're out in nature like that and seeing these animals, it's just a whole nother experience.
It is. And just being out in nature in general, because we grew up in the city. I mean,
Mhm.
let's be honest. I guess it's suburbs. I don't know if you count it. We're kind of in the middle, but the point is, we're not around nature as much.
Right.
Maybe the people who grew up in the backwoods feel differently, but for me, it does it. There's some magic to it. There's some mystery to it, and there's some strangeness to it. I mean, when you're out there, just sometimes there's aliens.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
Which brings us to our next segment.
Disclosure discussion. Ha 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 ha. It's about aliens and stuff.
God, you know what? I just love disclosure discussion. When Ryan and I were talking about doing this podcast at the beginning, we wanted to do it about the things that we enjoyed, which is why the show became what it became. But the start was aliens, because we loved watching Ancient Aliens and just chatting about just the theories, what could be real, what couldn't be real. We're just asking questions, Andy. We're just asking questions.
Just asking questions.
All right, so take it away, bud.
FBI and Danish police investigate mysterious UFO incidents amid Baltic tensions. Is there a link?
Is there?
This comes to us from EuroWeeklyNews.com. Danish police and FBI are investigating what seems like separate incidents of fleets of unidentified flying objects swarming the skies. There are thought to be unknown type of drone, but no official explanation has been given. Investigations are ongoing. In a strange and unexplained turn of events, Danish police have launched an investigation after at least 20 unidentified flying objects, possibly unknown drones, were spotted over the port city of Kogi.
Yeah, why not? That's like Kogi?
Kogi?
Koege.
Kogi.
Yeah.
Southwest of Copenhagen. Oh, okay, now I know where that's at.
Nailed it.
The eerie sightings reported late Friday night, January 3rd, by a visibly shaken eyewitness have raised eyebrows and sparked widespread speculation.
So in my head, it jumped to the movie Airplane, where you have silly jokes, right? So it's a guy being interviewed at the news, but there's someone else hanging onto his shoulders, just shaking him because he's a visibly shaken.
Yeah,
witness.
eyewitness.
Yeah.
You gotta tell us. Ah.
Yeah. It's as dumb as the idea of just being like, that's ludicrous, and then someone pulling out a picture of the rapper Ludacris being like, no, this is ludicrous. That's just weird. Sorry.
Well, a few of the objects were quickly spotted and then vanished into the night sky, leaving no trace behind. The real question remains, where did they come from, and why were they there? What's even more unnerving, there were no permits issued for drone flights in that area. The police immediately alerted Denmark's Domestic Intelligence Service, PET, but the origins of the mysterious objects remain unknown. With tensions rising across the Baltic region, could these strange occurrences be more than just a harmless and normal anomaly? Anomaly.
It's rough, right? Because any time that there is countries where I'll use their word, where there's tension and war could break out, you're just I don't know. I hope it's not just someone fucking around with drones, right? Is it another country spying? Is it aliens? If it is the Greys or any other form of alien, do they know what they're doing, right? It kind of seems like they're like, hey, let's see if we can get them to shoot each other. I don't know. It's rough. But, the drones have been popping up everywhere. They were talking about New Jersey, New York. Everyone's talking about these giant drones. So at this point, I think if we could identify it as a drone, then it's not an unidentified flying object. It's a drone. We've identified it. And if it is a drone, then it is probably from a foreign country or a foreign power or our own government testing them or spying on us. Who knows? That makes more sense to me. If I guess that's just my point. So the fact that they are doing this over a hot area seems frustrating, because if neither side is admitting to it, then that means it's another country, another world power, probably spying on the situation and possibly starting an incident or a war. Very fucking frustrating.
I've definitely noticed drones coming in more. For instance, me and my siblings, we went and saw Green Day, and somebody was flying a drone during the concert, and Green Day just got wiped off stage, and everyone was just sitting there just like, what just happened?
Dude,
and it was because somebody was flying a drone in the stadium.
Yeah, they were trying to see the show.
And they had no idea. But it was just like, I don't know. It's just like now drones are just becoming like this bigger thing. You know what I'm saying?
At least a bigger thorn in the side. You know what's funny is we actually covered that in Music Mumbles before.
Oh,
that exact story.
You did. Yeah.
I didn't know you were there. That's interesting. How long did you have to wait?
Dude, it was probably like 15 minutes. And I'm going to be honest, my anxiety was terrible because nobody knew. They didn't say anything.
Yeah, it's like, are we about to be shot?
That's literally, I was like, is there someone with a gun in here? You know what I mean?
Yeah, what? Because they were rushed off, right?
Yeah, and I've been to hundreds of concerts, and that's never happened before. Never happened.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was wild, and it was very eerie, creepy. And then, of course, I thought, oh, it might be aliens.
Of course it was fucking aliens.
Of course it was.
Jesus Christ, man. Have I taught you nothing?
I know. All right. The sighting in Kaogi comes at a time when Nordic and Baltic nations are on high alert, worried that these unknown flying objects may be connected to growing fears of Russian hybrid warfare. Could these UFO-like drones be part of something bigger? The recent string of incidents involving damaged undersea cables only fuels this theory.
Hmm.
But the odd sightings aren't confined to Denmark alone. Around the world, reports of unidentified flying objects are on the rise.
Like we were saying, man, everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
See, I like UFOs. I like seeing plasmids. I like seeing saucers. I love seeing UFOs. But what I don't like is drones, because, like I mentioned earlier, the possibilities bug me.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. They're just everywhere now.
So I choose to believe aliens.
Yes. In the U.S., fleets of unidentified flying objects have been seen hovering over power stations, airports, and other sensitive sites.
To be fair, UFOs have always done that. Before the meltdown in Japan, there was UFO sightings over there.
Okay.
Yeah, UFOs are always checking out military sites, especially nuclear sites. That is very normal.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying you shouldn't be worried or afraid.
Right.
Just saying that shit happens all the time.
Power stations, airports, and other sensitive sites, sparking widespread concern and speculation about who or what is behind them. Eyewitnesses in the state of New Jersey reported massive orb-like flying objects that did not look like planes and did not behave like planes. Several witnesses who got a close-up look at the objects described them as nothing like we'd ever seen before. The New Jersey resident Evan Cutler described one of the objects hovering over a tree in the middle of the night. Suddenly, it gets closer and it's hovering right over the trees. And it looks like, I guess, an enormous drone.
Okay, so it looks like a fucking drone. You identified it. I'm sorry.
Visibly lost words, Mr. Cutler continued.
Visibly at a loss for words, I imagine.
Yeah, he's just like, I can't. Eyewitness shaking.
Yeah. This dude just comes up, just, hey, Carl, come over here. Comes up, just grabs him by the shoulders. Shake it.
Was it a drone?
He's visibly shaken.
I'm not even sure what it was. I never seen anything like it. It's just a drone on steroids. The FBI are officially investigating these objects. In the UK, mystery drones appeared above U.S. Air Force bases, while in Germany, similar objects were spotted over military and industrial sites, including the Ramstein U.S. air base. With more countries becoming involved, it's clear that these strange flying objects aren't just a local issue. Could these sightings be connected to something more ominous? Whether spy drones or UFOs, authorities are on high alert as they work to uncover the truth behind these mysterious visitors from the sky. The question is now, what are we dealing with?
The truth is out there. And you know what the truth is, by the way? I figured this out years ago. I wanted to keep it on the down low. But we are actually in kind of like a matrix. This really is a simulation. Yeah, and those drones, they're fucking cursors, man. They're people using their mouse. That's the little arrow from Windows coming around to click on shit. That's all it is. The truth is out there. I figured it out, Andy.
Truth is out there.
Yeah. So you know what that means? According to Matrix rules, now we can learn to fly.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I would love to fly.
Yeah, that would be great. But hey, that is this week's Disclosure Discussion.
Earthling Entertainment special report. Are you a Breaking Bad fan? Well, now's your chance to buy Walter White's house. It just hit the market for $4 million. Ooh. A Mummy remake from Blumhouse and Atomic Monsters will hit theaters 2026. In case you care, Tom Holland and Zendaya are now engaged, so hooray for love. And the franchise has been canceled by HBO Max. There will be no season 2. Wah, wah, wah. This has been an Earthling Entertainment special report, mother trucker.
Calling all comic fans, it's time to feed your brain at Green Brain Comics, where the freshest new issues, graphic novels, and manga hit the shelves every week. Whether you're looking for the hottest new series or the latest small press sensation, we've got it all. Every genre for every age, Green Brain Comics is your one-stop shop for all things graphic storytelling. Got questions? Our friendly staff knows their stuff. Whether you're a longtime fan or new to the world of comics, we've got recommendations that'll keep you coming back for more. And don't forget to check out our special events. Green Brain Comics is not just a store, it's a community. Located in East Downtown Dearborn, we are at Green Brain Comics on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Shop online at greenbraincomics.com, and remember to feed your brain at Green Brain Comics.
It's true, you made it through to the second half of the show.
So, since this was kind of like a bonus show, we weren't really going to do all the segments, but we had to include this one because unfortunately, kind of a big thing happened. So, here's this week's.
Remember that guy? Remember that gal? Well, now they're dead.
Jeff Baena, indie director and Aubrey Plaza's husband, dies at 47. Jeff Baena, a screenwriter and director whose credits include the offbeat comedies The Little Hours and Life After Beth, has died. He was 47. A spokesperson for Baena confirmed his death. His body was discovered on Friday at a Los Angeles residence, according to the LA County Coroner's Office, which determined the cause of death to be suicide.
That's a shame, obviously.
Yeah. Baena was the husband of Aubrey Plaza, who starred in his films The Little Hours, a 2017 black comedy set in a 14th century convent, and Life After Beth, a zombie satire. The Little Hours was loosely inspired by the Decameron.
The Decameron?
Decameron.
I think it's Decameron.
As-
I am not a medieval literature researcher. Apparently, this guy was, though.
Yeah. As well as Baena's college coursework in medieval and Renaissance studies.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Critics praised the film's modern sensibility and irreverence, while reviewers also lauded Life After Beth for its idiosyncratic and often hilarious take on a well-worn horror genre.
Yeah, and the well-worn genre, obviously, is Life After Beth is a zombie flick. It's actually weird because it's one of the few zombie flicks that it kind of shows a relationship between a living and a zombie. First one to do it was Return of the Living Dead, I believe, Return of the Living Dead 3, mid-90s. Then we have Warm Bodies, and Life After Beth.
Yeah, and there's also, if you're familiar with like the Santa Clarita Diet, it's a show.
Yeah, Drew Barrymore, right?
Yes, yeah, and she becomes a zombie, and the husband helps her, like basically get bodies so she can stay alive.
I mean, that's the thing is you do what you do for your partner, but every once in a while you gotta feed him a dead body.
Yep.
I get it, but hey, Jeff Bino, you will be missed. I loved his work. I really did, and it's so tragic. Can you imagine? I imagine it's the worst day of your life to find out that your partner has died, let alone from suicide. So our heart goes out to Aubrey Plaza or anyone who knew him. It just goes to show you, no matter how much money or fame you have, we don't know what goes on in people's personal life, and I hope people around him and he find peace. So you will be missed.
You will be missed.
Did you see Little Hours?
I haven't. Actually, now that I'm on this and we're talking about it, I'm definitely going to make it a point to watch both of those this week.
Yeah, it'd be nice to honor him a bit. But Little Hours, I saw in theaters at a very small release. I was in LA at the time. So luckily, anything that gets limited release, if you live in LA, you're going to be able to see it. I don't get the same stuff back in Detroit. But I saw it. I really liked that movie. And it was so odd. That one in particular was just such very dry humor. You know who else was in there? The Franco, Danny, something Franco, not James Franco, his brother.
Okay.
Dave Franco. Yeah, Dave Franco was in that. He did really well. And Aslan Brie, his wife, she was in there too, from Community.
Okay, yep.
Yeah. So definitely check it out. All right, it's 2025, which means I thought it would be fun to talk about what I would consider the best films of 2024. So these are my top 10 of 2024. Now, keep in mind that these are all films that were theatrically released in the United States. Also, it's my personal list. So these are genre films and maybe not the award bait you might expect. So if you disagree with anything on this list, I don't blame you. These are just the ones that hit me the best. So, in number 10, we have Dune Part 2. Dune Part 2 was a great film. I loved it, but I've always been a fan of Dune. I read the books, and I am partial to the 2000 sci fi version, which I'm told has terrible acting, but I enjoyed it. And it's a 6 hour miniseries, so I had all the Dune I needed. So for me, great film. Love it. Give you kudos, but it'll be number 10 on my list. After that, we have number 9, which is The Fall Guy. That was a fun movie. It's a rom-com. It's Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. It is a remake of a 80s show called The Fall Guy, and it flopped. I mean, I thought it would have done better, but no, people didn't go to see it, and it's a shame because I think more of those movies, I don't know, need to come out. We get the big genre films, which I love, of course, of action and adventure and superhero and all this stuff, but we don't always get rom-coms. And I like think smaller movies have a spot in the genre, and we need to make more room for them. So at number 8, I have Smile 2. Ooh, did you like Smile? I love Smile. Very creepy film. Yeah, so that's got my number 8 spot, and I'm a real fan of Naomi Scott, who played Kimberly in the Power Rangers movie in the 2017. She also was in the remake of Charlie's Angels, which Elizabeth Banks directed. So Smile number 2 gets the number 8 spot. Number 7, Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm not going to lie. This isn't higher on the list because I expected too much. I had my expectations way too high. I expected every cameo from everybody in the Fox universe. And while I loved Deadpool and Wolverine, I just wasn't as good as I hoped it would be. Truthfully, that's the facts. Also, funny thing is I named my son Paradox, which I thought was a cool name. Well, there is a character in this film named Paradox. So suddenly our super unique name, people are going to be like, "Oh, is it because of that movie?" No, he's older than that movie. Just so you know. Number 6, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Once again, I wanted to love this more than I did. I was just a little disappointed because I feel like the plot got very convoluted. It ended up being similar to The Amazing Spider-Man Part 2, where they just threw too much stuff at the wall hoping something would stick. It felt like they were spending more time setting up a universe than they were making a proper sequel, and no one got enough screen time because it was as Bilbo Boggins says, it is not enough jam spread over too much bread. I don't know. But I did like the film, and I am a Ghostbusters fan. And I know they're going to do an animated movie on Netflix. Hopefully that does well because I don't think this one did very well. And you kind of need box office, you need money in order to continue a franchise. So we'll see. Number 5, Beetlejuice. Well, like everybody else, I was waiting 30 years for this movie, and I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I had a lot of problems with the movie simply because of plot holes. We don't even need to get into them. It's just, it felt like over the course of the 30 years, they had written several Beetlejuice sequels, and this film was like little bits of all of them. It felt like the daughter going to the afterlife was a movie. It felt like Beetlejuice's wife was a movie. And the cop hunting her was a movie. It felt like what happened with the rest of the Deets was its own movie. It just, I think I think it was like 14 scripts turned into one, but a lot of fun, and it did good in the box office. So maybe we will get a sequel. I doubt it because Tim Burton pretty much said no. But hey, who knows? Number 4, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I've been a fan of the Planet of the Apes movie since I was a kid. Watched all the originals. I even liked the 2000 remake that Tim Burton did. And this new one, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, I think it did a good job of extending the franchise while not messing with the fact that the last couple were a trilogy. Because the Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and War for the Planet of the Apes was Caesar's story, the character of Caesar, and it was a complete trilogy. And this was like, oh, it took place thousands of years later. So it worked for me. To me, it was kind of like, I don't know. I don't want to say the Matrix 4 because that one that one was a little too far removed from the originals. But maybe think of it like Jurassic Park 1 through 3 is a trilogy, and then when we turn into Jurassic World, it's still a continuation, but it's its new thing. That's kind of how I felt when I was dealing with this one. Number 3, Lord of the Rings: The War of the Rohirrim. I mentioned this last week. I won't mention it again. It was a good movie. If you like Lord of the Rings mythology, if you like J.R.R. Tolkien stuff, definitely check it out. It didn't make much money, but I didn't think it would, so I wasn't entirely surprised. Number 2, The Wild Robot. There's no denying it. The Wild Robot is the best animated film that came out last year. Despite what the Golden Globes said and didn't give them the Golden Globe, I think they'll win the Oscar because, my God, what a terrific film. The Wild Robot, if you're a parent, it hits you right in the feels. It is wonderful animation and just all around a good time. Now, what brings us to our my number one film of 2024, which is Alien Romulus. I know. People said the Alien franchise was dead, and I agree that Ridley Scott was taking it in a weird direction. I wasn't a fan of Prometheus, although the original scripts for Prometheus were good. And Alien Covenant I liked but didn't love. And like everybody else, I wasn't sure that another Alien would work. But when I saw the trailers, I was in. I watched the film and I was pleasantly surprised. They did a little bit of the greatest hits of the Alien franchise, but not too much to the point where I thought it was just nostalgia bait. So if you are a fan of sci-fi horror, make sure to check out Alien Romulus if you haven't already done so. And that are Joe Wakefield's top 10 movies of 2024.
And that brings us to the end of the show.
Yeah, that's right. You did it.
Hey, thanks, man.
Yeah,
This was
man.
awesome.
It was a good co-hosting job. Bonus episode. You nailed it. I loved everything about today. So thanks for coming and being a part of it.
Yeah, of course, man. Anytime. I love listening, and I mean, it's awesome being on, man. This is great.
Absolutely. Just a reminder, on the 22nd, which is a Wednesday, we will also be having a guest host, and it'll be a gentleman named Vincent Trotto. So look forward to that. But hey, guys, did you like the show? Do you want to represent Earthling Entertainment? Well, you can do that. We will send you an Earthling Entertainment vinyl bumper sticker. It's good for all kinds of weather, and you can place that anywhere you want. That is totally legal, not telling you to vandalize. Anyways, hit us up on Facebook, or you could email us at earthlingentertainmentpodcast@gmail.com. Just send us an address, and we'll send you some stickers. And your job, if you choose to accept it, is also to spread the word. Tell people about this podcast. Let's grow our Earthling community. Because, hell, who doesn't like entertainment? Do you like entertainment?
I love entertainment.
I try to too, man. Okay, guys, download the episode. Next week, we got a normal one, and Ryan will be back. And from everyone here at Earthling Entertainment, see ya.
Bye.